The police officer stopped a bullet with his head, but it wasn't because his face had suddenly become tough or indestructible. It was because, just moments earlier, he had swallowed a superpower capsule. A pharmaceutical company had created this drug. The moment you take it, it activates animal genes inside your body and grants you a random superpower. This capsule quickly became extremely popular in the market, because everyone wants to experience being a superhero at least once. However, the power only lasts for 5 minutes, and there's also a deadly risk. 1 out of every 5 times taking it can kill you instantly. This story is set in the near future, where a mysterious distributor in the city of New Orleans approaches a group involved in illegal dealings and shows them a special pill. He explains that after consuming this pill, a person gains superpowers for 5 minutes, but each person's powers are different. After that, he hands over these pills to all the dealers. In reality, these pills are created using DNA extracted from various animals. Once these pills fall into the wrong hands, people start consuming them and begin causing chaos across the entire city, leading to multiple deaths. 6 years pass, and we are then introduced to a girl named Robin, who possesses 3 of these powerful tablets. She wants to sell them because her mother is sick and she needs money for her treatment. Her father is no longer alive. At one point, 3 boys cleverly snatch her bag and try to escape, but before they can get away, a man named Frank arrives. He is a detective. He warns the boys that if they take the tablet, they will gain powers for 5 minutes. But there is another truth. Not everyone can digest it, and it could even lead to death. The boys get scared, and Frank takes the tablets from them and arrests them. Frank already knows Robin and is aware of her mother's condition. Instead of returning the tablets, he gives her his bike in exchange, which makes Robin very happy. Meanwhile, we are shown an army major who learns about a girl who was the first to consume this powerful capsule. That person turns out to be Robin's cousin. The major goes to his house, which looks extremely strange, burn marks everywhere and holes in the walls. He asks him to come out, but instead, Robin's cousin consumes a capsule. His entire body catches fire, and he begins chasing the major to kill him. The major runs to save his life, and as time passes, the 5-minute duration of the power is about to end. However, the cousin consumes 3 capsules at once, becoming extremely powerful and determined to kill the major at any cost. The major runs into a bathroom, wets his jacket, and attacks him before forcing him into a bathtub filled with water. He demands to know the name of the dealer supplying the tablets, but before he can reveal anything, the excessive consumption of capsules causes him to explode. The major survives the blast, but Robin's cousin dies. However, the major takes his phone and checks it, discovering that he had contacts with many people through whom he dealt these tablets. He messages one of the numbers saying he wants to meet, and that number belongs to Robin. We are then shown Frank, who arrives outside a bank where he learns that a man has entered who is completely invisible and is robbing the bank. Despite many police officers being present, no one is allowed to go inside. Frank decides to consume a pill, sets a 5-minute timer on his watch, and enters the bank. Inside, he encounters a man who has the ability to blend into any color around him, making him invisible to others. This means that he too has consumed the pill. When the man sees Frank, he grabs bags of money and tries to escape. Frank chases him, but the man manages to get far ahead. Eventually, the man obtains a gun and shoots Frank. However, Frank had also taken the pill, and while his appearance doesn't change, his skin becomes so hard that nothing can penetrate it. The bullet hits him and he falls, but he is still alive, something the invisible man doesn't realize. Taking advantage of this moment, Frank attacks him and successfully takes him down. Although Frank captures him, his senior officer arrives and orders him to hand over his badge and gun. When Frank asks if he's being fired, the officer says that he broke the rules, because he used the pill, which is against protocol. Frank argues that without these powers, they cannot fight such criminals. If they want to stop them, they need the pills too. He says he wants to eliminate this threat from the city and asks for support. His senior tells him that if he truly wants to end this, he should go after the major, who is the biggest supplier of these tablets. On the other side, Robin goes to a restaurant to meet her cousin after receiving a message, but the message was actually sent by the major. She finds him there and he takes her into his car, demanding to know her supplier. Robin refuses to tell him anything. The major then tells her that he also has a daughter who was kidnapped by dealers, and he wants to save her at any cost. Hearing this, Robin agrees to help and takes him to the dealer from whom she buys the tablets. However, the dealer becomes suspicious and tries to escape with a truck. The major attacks and kills him, only to discover that he was not the real supplier but just a middleman. The major is now injured and asks Robin for help. She agrees, and together they use a map to locate the next drug deal. Meanwhile, we are shown a drug dealer presenting a new capsule, explaining that it has been made using DNA from animals that live in extremely cold environments. He says they need to test its power. A girl is forced to consume the capsule and is then placed inside a chamber where the temperature is raised to 500 degrees. Even at such extreme heat, nothing happens to her. Now, the Major also arrives at the location, searching for his daughter. He immediately starts attacking everyone present. But before he can capture the drug dealer, Frank shows up and points a gun at him, saying that he knows the Major is the one spreading these tablets across the entire city and demands that he surrender. While they are talking, the truck dealer gets an opportunity. He quickly consumes a tablet and transforms into a terrifying monster. To save himself, Frank turns on several gas cylinders, and just as all three of them run outside, the Major fires a shot that causes a massive explosion, killing the monster. All three of them survive the blast, but Frank immediately arrests the Major. Soon, the police arrive at the scene along with some high-security personnel. Whenever someone who has consumed the tablet dies, these special agents always show up to take the body away. This makes Frank suspicious as he begins to believe that these people are somehow connected to those distributing the tablets throughout the city. Since he has arrested the Major, Frank informs his senior officer about everything. The Major then reveals an even bigger truth to Frank. He explains that the people behind all of this are working on creating a new version of the tablet, one that will grant permanent powers. Once someone consumes it, they will never need another tablet again to activate their abilities. To achieve this, they want to use his daughter because her DNA is unique. That is why she was kidnapped. Frank begins to believe his story, and now all three of them make their way to a ship in the water named Genesis. This ship is where all the suppliers of these tablets are gathered. The Major intentionally allows himself to get captured so that he can be taken inside the ship. Meanwhile, Frank and Robin secretly sneak onto the ship as well. Robin goes into a control room filled with cameras, from where she can control all the doors of the ship. She begins guiding Frank from there. At the same time, the high-security officer, who is actually working for the dealers, also arrives on the ship. After consuming a tablet, he becomes extremely powerful. He enters the room where Robin was supposed to be, but she manages to escape just in time and makes her way to the place where the Major's daughter is being held. There, Robin discovers the truth about everything. Years ago, the government had started a secret project to turn soldiers into super soldiers. The Major himself was a part of that project. During the experiment, a special gas was released on the soldiers, which significantly enhanced their power. In reality, the government was doing this for its own benefit. Their plan was to create super soldiers and use them to eliminate other countries and eventually rule the entire world. When the Major found out the truth, he escaped from the project. Years later, when his daughter was born and grew up, scientists discovered that she possessed unique abilities. Because of this, they attacked the Major and kidnapped his daughter, intending to use her DNA to create even more powerful capsules. Just as they are about to escape, Dr. Gardner suddenly appears and captures Robin. She is the head of the entire project and the one controlling everything. In exchange for Robin, she once again demands the Major's daughter. At this point, all of Dr. Gardner's men surround them. Suddenly, the Major consumes a capsule. Since he is already powerful, the effect of the capsule makes him even more dangerous. His body releases an intense heat wave, causing every bullet coming toward him to melt, along with the people around him. All of Dr. Gardner's men, including her, are killed. However, the immense power also leads to the Major's death. But then his daughter comes to him. She possesses special powers, and by using them she brings her father, the Major, back to life. After that, the four of them manage to escape from the ship. Frank knows that the real mastermind behind all of this is the government, and he decides to expose them in front of the media. Meanwhile, the Major leaves with his daughter. Before going, he gives Robin a bag full of money so that she can get her mother treated. In the end, Robin, who had always dreamed of becoming a rapper, finally begins her career as a rapper. And with that, the story comes to an end.